Welcome to It's Always Something. I'm Christopher. I'm going to be your host, joined with my co-host, Rick. And we also have a special guest today, Rihanna. But before we start this podcast, I want to introduce who we are. So we are the Be the Change Youth Coalition, and we are divided amongst 4 groups. The 4 groups are the podcast group, which is us. We also have the social media group that manages social media. We've got the research group that looks for information and does a whole bunch of things in our community. And we've also got the summit group that hosts our summit event, which I want to quickly mention right here. So this is our summit event. You might see these posters across town. They're going to be all over Pacifica, and I highly recommend you guys go to the summit. We're going to be there. Even our guest over here is going to be there as well. And it's going to be lots of fun. It's going to be on May 10th, Saturday, starting at 11 p.m. 11 a.m. Become like 10:30, just so you can like check in. And it's going to have lots of fun, workshops. We'll also have our live podcast there, so it's going to be really cool to come check it out.
Yeah, yours truly.
How are you doing?
I'm doing good.
Doing good?
Nice sunny Wednesday.
Uh-huh.
It was actually pretty sunny.
Pretty
recently.
good. How are you doing?
Same. I was enjoying the sunny day before I came in here.
Oh, no.
Now I'm going to enjoy your company for a while.
A little break from the fog, right?
Yeah, I was in the north end of town. It was foggy, but back over here at my house, it's still sunny.
Yeah.
So
It's always
good
fun
day.
with Pacifica, right?
Mm-hmm.
In Pacifica, like over here in Lindenmore, it's like always hot, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Back
So,
in the valley.
yeah, back in the valley for sure. But let's get into this interview. So could you start by like introducing yourself and your role at HOPE Pacifica?
Sure. My name is Rihanna Karstead, and I am the treasurer of HOPE, which is a nonprofit here in Pacifica.
Mm-hmm. Sick. So,
You mentioned HOPE. Could you go over what your organization is?
Sure. So HOPE stands for Healing, Overdose Prevention, and Education. And we work here in our local community to prevent overdoses, raise awareness, and I lost my train of thought. What else do we do? Yeah. So we help prevent overdose, we raise awareness, and we educate. That's also what we do. There we go.
I like that. And what inspired the creation of HOPE?
So the founders of HOPE are my dear friends Rondell and Clarence Davis. They lost their son Tyler in May 2023 to a fentanyl overdose.
Oh, wow.
And they wanted to do something to help prevent that for other people. And Tyler was my husband's best friend in elementary school. He's a very good friend of mine, and I just wanted to jump right in and get involved and do the same thing. Kind of just finally was the last point for me where I was like, you know what, it's time to step up and do something.
Wow, that's powerful.
Mm-hmm.
So you mentioned your mission is awareness, overdose prevention, and education. But what does that look like day to day?
So day to day, it looks like a lot of educating. So I travel to any school that will take us to do educational classes, usually in the health class. I do that a lot with Mary, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I've gone to colleges. We table at college events where they have resource fairs and stuff. I've helped train RAs at Menlo College. We give out a lot of Narcan, so anywhere, anytime someone wants Narcan, we're there for them.
Mm-hmm.
You come get it from us, come find us, track us down, we'll give it for you. We are working right now mostly to place Narcan vending machines essentially around town and hopefully in San Mateo County. So right now that's like our main goal. So then we also have to do the upkeep of the machines and make sure that they're always full and checking on them and stuff like that.
I like that goal. And you guys are also going to have a booth at the summit, right?
Yes, we are going to be at the summit. I believe so. I'm not sure exactly what that looks like yet. I think we'll have a table. We'll probably have our stickers and all that kind of stuff. We have a lot of free cool things we like to give out to get our name out there to make sure that people know about HOPE.
Sweet.
I'm not sure about Narcan. Yeah, we'll see. We'll have it there to see at least. I'm not sure if we could give it
And
out.
this is Narcan right here, right?
Yes, here's a box right here,
Box
and
right
here's
there.
what one looks like inside the box. There's 2 of these inside that box.
Oh, you mentioned a vending machine. Is that would it be free or?
It's free, yes. So yeah, that's the big thing is that it's free. We get it through the state. California is really good about social problems like that, and so there's a program where the state gives that to us for free. So then we are then able to go and put it in the machines for free for anyone who wants it.
And you're saying these vending machines are going to be like one in each city or like?
So we have 4 currently in Pacifica, and we'll probably
wow.
get a couple more maybe more than a couple, and then we want to go ahead and branch out into the rest of San Mateo County.
That's perfect.
We have some work with Daly City in the pipeline, so perhaps Daly City will be our next city. But for now, just Pacifica.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't even know they're in Pacifica. Wow.
Where are some of the places for vending
So
machines?
there is one at Lit, the Cannabis Club on Palmetto. There's one at the Pacifica Resource Center, also on Palmetto. Longboard Margarita Bar in Eureka Square. Fog Zone Smoke Shop in Pedro Point is the other one.
Oh, wow.
And then we'll probably focus now on the north end of town and try and get some up there as well.
Is there any age restrictions to attaining them?
So to possess and attain it, no, there is not. There is certain restrictions on what I'm allowed to give it to someone under 18. So for example, I would not be allowed to give it to you at school. It's technically a drug. It's a medicine, and there's very strict rules on how adults can just give kids medicine, but you could possess it. There's no rules about you being able to not possess it or anything like that, or I believe even be able to buy it yourself over the counter. So you can buy this at like pharmacies like Target and stuff. It does cost about $40.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's why being able to have it out there for free right now is incredibly vital.
Yeah, it's a life changer. That's gonna
It literally
help
is.
everyone.
Yes.
For sure. Especially if $40 is a cost barrier. No, this is
Correct.
amazing for the community.
Exactly.
And this
It's a pretty big cost
impact.
barrier, to be honest. $40 is
Right.
it's a lot right now.
Do you know how the vending machines would work specifically? Like,
So imagine an old school newspaper stand where you walk up and you open the door. It's just like that, but you don't have to put in a quarter like for a newspaper. You would just be able to open it and just take it right out. So machine might be overstating it a little bit. The dispenser. It's just you just.
And I guess in order to branch out, I have to make sure like a lot of people don't like get like many of them, right?
Yes. So
there some sort
far,
of
it seems like people have been pretty good about that. They are located in businesses, so hopefully that keeps people from being like, well, I'm gonna go take like 20. But at the same time, like, you know what? If they're gonna make use of it, and you need 20 because you want to go give them out to someone else, I kind of go ahead. But yeah, there is that concern a little bit. But at the same time, I'd rather see it be taken out than not.
Of course. So you want to make sure that this is like some tool that everyone can have, especially if they're dealing with these issues. And addiction and overdose are very hard topics to talk about. How does HOPE approach them in a way that's both honest and compassionate?
So it's very interesting because for a lot of people, they see addiction as a choice. And that's kind of where the stigma comes from, is that they're saying like, you chose to do this. And now here's where you're at. If you live on the street, whatever's happening, that's what you chose. And so that's something that's really important to let people understand, is that addiction is not necessarily a choice. Once you're in it, you're stuck in addiction. It's no longer a choice. And potentially physically, if you're on drugs long enough, like you can't literally survive without them. And so that's why things like detox are so important. And so we have to try and get people away from thinking that like, oh, people are choosing to live this way, and to understand that it's a disease, and that there's even like you can be predisposed to addiction genetically speaking. So for example, being addictive and having an addictive personality can be genetic. So it's not necessarily just, oh, you chose to do this. And so making people understand that is part of how we would break that stigma, and kind of just get people to understand that people just need help. They don't need judgment. You know, they don't know you shouldn't have done this. They don't need that. People just need help.
Yeah, that's 100% true. I really like how you said it like that. That's really good.
So more specifically on this prevention, what makes overdose prevention such a critical problem in San Mateo County?
So right now, beyond just San Mateo County, just in the United States in general, fentanyl overdoses is like one of the second leading causes of death right now.
Here in this area?
It's just in our country.
Nationwide?
Nationwide. Wow. So for example, in the year 2023, there was 200,000 overdose deaths in the United States, right?
200,000?
200,000.
In the U.S. Overdose, 1 year.
And just fentanyl?
So about approximately 75% of them are fentanyl related.
Wow.
Yeah, and so that's a really large number to think about. But if you could imagine 200 people every day dying, that's so like, for example, how many students are in your class?
Like in my classroom?
180?
Yeah, in my
like in your
grade?
senior class.
senior class like 150, 130.
So imagine all of them gone in one day.
Yeah. Maybe even more, right?
Yeah, a little bit more actually. And like I said, about 75% of them are related to fentanyl.
That is sad.
In California, the numbers roughly translate the same. I think California in 2023, there was about 7,500 deaths, overdoses, and about 5,200 of them were related to fentanyl.
Do you know like the approximate ages of these deaths? Or?
I don't, but I can tell you that for young people, teenagers, it's one of the most fast, increasing causes of death.
Wow.
That's
Yeah,
scary.
so I recently saw this video the other day. It's a really interesting one. You should look it up. It's called from a company called Song for Charlie, and they had this chart on there, and it shows teen drug use just in general going down over time because that's what's been happening. You know, teenagers aren't using it, but teen deaths related to drugs are like skyrocketing, and it's
Really?
because of fentanyl.
Wow.
Because like the ones that are using drugs are taking the hardest ones, or
It's not even necessarily that. What's happening is a lot of teens are taking fake pills.
Oh, like opiates?
So fentanyl is an opioid,
Oh,
but what
wow.
is happening is kids are thinking they're buying Percocet, Adderall, Xanax, etc., all those types of drugs, and what they're actually getting is counterfeit fentanyl, and then it ends up becoming a lethal dose of fentanyl instead of, if you wanted Xanax to relax. You're then instead, unfortunately, being poisoned by a counterfeit pill.
and could marijuana be laced with fentanyl too?
Yes.
That's true.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. So what's kind of happening is they're seeing that a drug dealer would be weighing out drugs on a scale, right?
Right.
And this is not a lab, so they're not concerned about cross-contamination issues or making things are clean. So what they'll do is they'll weigh drugs on the same scale. And since such a tiny amount of fentanyl can kill you, the marijuana could literally just pick up tiny particles of fentanyl and then now be a lethal dose of marijuana.
Is what you brought a lethal dose? Of,
Yes. So this one right here, this is a lethal dose of fentanyl, and it's the size of a sesame seed, approximately.
super tiny. I wish
It's
you guys could see
2
it.
milligrams. Yeah, I always when I
milligrams.
show that to kids, I say you can't see it in there, but it's in there. You got to look for it. And there's actually more potent fentanyl now out there in the streets, where it's less than that. It's literally the size of, they could say, half a grain of sand.
Sand?
Yeah, half a grain of
Half a
sand.
grain of sand.
One, yeah, it's
God.
called carfentanil, and
Oh my
it's
God.
literally 10,000 times more potent than heroin.
Wow.
10,000?
10,000, no joke.
That's scary.
10,000. It is scary.
Beyond
It's super
scary.
scary.
That sounds
yeah,
made
and
up.
that's
Because of
what's
how
so
small it
dangerous.
is.
That's what's so dangerous about the pills. And that's the one big one that they're really pushing is counterfeit pills, because they've been finding the DEA and things like that. They're finding that about 60% of drugs out on the street are counterfeit and laced with a lethal dose of fentanyl.
Oh my god. And like the thing is, so many drugs could usually be laced with stuff like this since
Yeah,
they're so tiny.
correct.
Right?
Yeah, so,
So-
like I said, if you have a pill, let's just, it's roughly the size of a pea, a Tic Tac. If you can imagine how many grains of sand fit in one Tic Tac, you could cut that pill up into half, into quarters, and still easily be taking a lethal dose and not know it.
So is it like the whole thing is fentanyl, or is it just like,
So
is it cut in?
So it's what they call, it's something that they call the chocolate chip cookie conundrum.
Oh.
So if you imagine you make some chocolate chip cookies, right?
Yeah.
You might get one cookie that only has like 2 chocolate chips in it, right? But perhaps another cookie in the batch has 20 chocolate chips in it. There's really no way to know. So like I said, you could even split a pill in half and have one half be fine and the other half not. In fact, I just heard a story about 2 young ladies who split one Percocet. They split it in half. One was able to be revived and one passed
Oh my god.
because she had a larger dose of fentanyl in her half of the
Oh
pill.
my god.
So like just by halves of the pills, it won't tell you the like exact half. Like it
Yeah,
says
there's
to
no
you.
way to know except for if you were to, for example, the pill that you want to do, completely crush it up and test it with the fentanyl test strip. And at that point, though, you're then destroying the drug. So a lot of people won't do that. They're going to go ahead and they're trying to get high, so they're going to go ahead and just take it.
Yeah. How does that test kit work?
So how this works is, like I said, you would have to completely crush up the pill or whatever substance, and then you mix it with water, and then the test strip here has some little results panel thing. Kind of like pregnant, not pregnant.
Or like a COVID test kind of?
Yeah, very similar.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a better example, like the COVID
Yeah,
test. Yeah, so it'll give you like the positive, not positive. But like I said, you'd have to destroy the whole thing and put it in water, which especially a drug addicts they're not going to do. So we do give out the test strips, and I would encourage everyone, if you really want to do drugs, to use a test strip. But Narcan is the thing that's vitally important.
But could
that will
even
save
like
your life.
touching the fentanyl like
No.
damage you?
No. You do have to ingest it. So so what happened is when fentanyl was first created, because it's a synthetic opioid, so it's created 100% in a lab. So it didn't come from the poppy plant like things like heroin. It was made as a patch. And that's like the thing where you put on your skin, and then it would the cream that's in it would slowly like be absorbed or something like that. And so now there's like this persistent myth that like if it touches your skin that you'll you have to actually ingest the fentanyl.
Well, that's good to know.
What's in these fake pills besides fentanyl? Is it just like
just
flour?
random filler powders? They use sometimes there's like vitamin powders out there. Baking soda, baking powder, whatever, they don't care. Wow. They just drug dealers are trying to make money.
Yeah.
And so they don't care what else is in there. They don't even care if it would harm you, obviously.
They don't care about anybody. They
Pretty much not. They care about money. Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah. Pockets themselves.
Mm-hmm. And that's why it's very important that you have to make sure that you protect yourself.
And is there like a training process for people who want to carry or use narcan?
There is. So there's in every single box. And in fact, like I said, there's 2 doses in here, and each one is in like a little foil pack, and each one of those packs has the directions. So there is the directions included in every single dose. You can watch training videos on the internet. You can call me, I'll come and train you. But yeah, it's pretty easy information to find if you're looking for it, to be able to, because like I said, a lot of people don't know about this type of stuff until then it's like too late, where then they know someone that's overdosed or something, and then they find this information. And then you'll find, oh, it's actually everywhere. I just have to be looking for it. So there's tons of videos online to train about Narcan use and stuff.
And then at the bottom, in the back, there's instructions.
Yeah, like so they try to plaster it everywhere. On the dispensers that we have in town, there's even like a placard on it that has the directions.
That's good. That's really good. And
can we demonstrate that on here or no? I mean,
like how it works?
Yeah, could you?
I mean,
it's nothing crazy. It's just this little guy like this. It's just like this,
dose.
and you just stick this right up into their nose and push the button.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it. So it's kind of like if you've ever taken Flonase for allergies. It's the same thing. It just goes right in the nose and then push the button down.
There you go. So
do you know how it works? Does it just like override the overdose,
so what ends up happening is the Narcan, which is technically just a brand name. This is called naloxone. So those are the same thing. It's just like Narcan's like the big brand, so that's what everyone usually calls it. What it does is it will go ahead and go into your system and block the opioid receptors from pulling in the fentanyl. And then so what happens is if someone is overdosing, they'll pop right out of it.
Oh.
That's good. So it's like a revival.
Yeah. Perfect. It literally is life-saving.
Perfect. And you also support like families and people in recovery, right? So
Yes.
what kind of resources or referrals do you offer?
So we have on our website, we have a big list of referrals. So we have information on how you could find AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous. There's also NAR-NON, which would be if you're a family member of an addict, you would be able to go to that group for support. And then we also have a few rehabs that we're connected with that we have the information, and detox programs as well. So we would then be able to refer people out to that. There's some good county programs as well.
So what kind of events does Host Hope?
So right now our big event is our August overdose prevention event, and what that is, so August 31st every year is like overdose awareness, like International Overdose Awareness Day. And so we just did our first one last year because Hope's really new and fresh. And what we do is that's like a big resource fair where we have like all those resources I just talked about. They come and they table the event, and we do a memorial walk, and we have like some speakers and things like that. And that's something that we want to do every year right around that same time. It'll be on the Saturday closest to the 31st, so not always the 31st. And then we do fundraising events. So we had a rummage sale to fundraise. We did a craft fair recently to fundraise. We had a Valentine's Day dinner dance where we had. It was really cool. We had a really awesome band called Superbad come and play, and we had like a prime rib dinner, and that was literally just a straight. Yeah, it was awesome. That was just a straight fundraiser, just come and help us. And for that one, we were specifically fundraising for the dispensers. So we had one of the dispensers there so everyone could see, like, this is what your money's going towards.
To like make sure this money is actually being used for good causes.
Yeah, I'd like to think that knowing that your money's going, like, when you give to like the Red Cross or something, like, well, where's my money going? It's this big international company. But when you donate to Hope, it's like, this is exactly where your money's going to, is this.
I really like that.
That's
Yeah,
nice.
those like small community initiatives.
Yes.
I 100%.
I agree.
Support
I
that.
agree.
100%.
The big
And-
ones are important, but if you really want to see like the work, like yourself, you can help
In your
with,
community.
and money that you give to, your community groups are where it's at.
For sure, especially San Mateo County. And
Yes.
are you guys only gonna, like for now, like for plans, just San Mateo County center?
For now, yes. For now, yes.
Not San Francisco yet.
No, they have a lot of programs already going in
Yeah.
San Francisco, and there's also a lot of different regulations that go into when you work with the homeless versus not. And the groups in San Francisco, we don't want to step on their toes. But like, if we all of a sudden just like had a glut of Narcan dispensers and they were like, hey, can Hope come and start putting them in the city? We wouldn't say no. But for now, we're focused on San Mateo County.
Perfect. That's good to know. And how can someone in the community get involved? Could they volunteer or like use that?
Yes.
Donate, of course,
So right now we're looking for volunteers to start helping us kind of monitor the dispensers. So just us few board members are the ones doing it right now, where we go and we check them and make sure they have Narcan and everything. And once we start placing a bunch of them, 3 of us having to go to 50 locations, for example, would be crazy.
It would.
So we are looking for volunteers to help with that. You could always find us on Instagram, Facebook. Where else? No more social medias. Oh, we might have a
Website?
X, Twitter. I think we have a
Twitter?
Twitter
Right, yeah.
technically. Our website, yes. And you can always find me. I'm everywhere around town. If you see me, come up to me.
Perfect. And do you have any story or moment that sticks with you? Someone Hope helped or a breakthrough that made you proud in the
So
community?
probably my proudest moment, probably our proudest moment, I think we would all agree is right now, is probably getting our first Narcan dispenser placed at Lit. It was a pretty big deal for us. And then once we got like the one, it kind of like, they just kept like falling into place, and someone else was like, well, we want one, and then we want one. And I was like, all right, great, we're gonna get you one, and we're gonna put it in your business, no problem.
There you go. It's like playing dominoes right there.
Pretty much, yeah, it was nice. But that first domino was very important.
I like that. That's really, so it must have been a nice event, right?
It was really cool, yeah. We had a lot of coverage. I was on the news, apparently. Channel 5, they're really good about coming and covering stuff that we do, and PCT also. Marty's always at our stuff.
And like, yeah, that's really cool. And like the local events and all that.
Yeah, we try to get involved at any local event that we can. So we'll probably have a booth at Fog Fest. We'll be at Pride.
That's cool. And that's gonna be in June, right?
June 7th, yeah,
June
at
7th?
IDL. June 7th is going to be the
Sweet.
parade and Pride event. That was actually our first event last year.
So what has the response been like from the community, and how has it changed? over
Pretty
the years?
excellent. It's pretty good. Overall, people have a lot of people are very happy to finally see this type of stuff happening, because unfortunately, a lot of people have lost somebody to a fentanyl overdose at this point. Myself, I can name like 5 people off like that were friends of mine that are now gone.
5?
Yeah, at least easy. And so what's happening is now a lot of people are now being affected by it. So a lot of people are like, yes, finally, like this is what we need. And then there's like a tiny chunk of people that are like, they have no idea, just completely out of their worldview. And so they're like, well, I don't need that. I don't need to know about that.
Really?
And I was like, look, you should just now,
Yeah.
before it's too late.
That's being
Wow.
arrogant. I can't lie. You have to know that.
It's kind of, it's a privilege and a little bit of luck to be able to be like that.
like
because unfortunately it's just a big problem, and that, 'cause it's affecting everyone at this point.
Yeah.
Like there are unfortunately even like babies that are being exposed to fentanyl
Babies?
on accident. Yeah.
my God.
Yeah. So like they
my
have
God.
parents who are addicts, for example, and even babies unfortunately have been exposed to fentanyl and are passing, and young people 13, 14, 15 are getting hit unfortunately really hard right now.
That is very unfortunate. That is very unfortunate. Yeah, and what are some goals for Hope next few years?
So our goals would be to get more dispensers placed out throughout, like I said, San Mateo County, and
Sure.
maybe farther. Who knows? We want to continue doing educational program. So I'd like to get into more of the schools, and I'd like to get younger kids, not just high school, because I've mostly been doing high school health classes, which is 9th grade.
Yeah.
We would love to see something geared to elementary school kids. And obviously it wouldn't be about like, look, this is Narcan, let's talk about fentanyl. It would be not like that, but something geared towards elementary school kids and middle school kids as well, I think is really important.
Yeah.
Because like I said, that age right there, 13, 14, is very, very...
vital years.
There's a certain point, they're super naive still. And with Snapchat and stuff, with people buying drugs on Snapchat.
Oh, yeah, that problem.
That's where a lot of these younger kids are getting it. They're super trusting.
And if
I
you
guess.
could leave the audience with one message, what would it be?
It would be to carry Narcan. Make sure that you carry Narcan. It's a lot of people say, I don't need that. And I just want to, it's not about you, because you're not going to overdose of Narcan yourself. You could save a life. It could be a friend. It could be a family member. It could be a stranger on the street. You could even use Narcan on your dog. So even if you might need to accidentally save your dog, say he sniffs it on the ground. That would be my main message. Carry Narcan.
I like that message. And you could find Narcan at these 4 vending machines that you listed previously, right?
Yep. You
So
can also
around town?
You can also go ahead and email us, reach out to us on social media. We are an official Narcan distributor.
That's perfect to know.
And lastly, are there any new projects coming from HOPE in the near future?
So there's not necessarily anything, like I said, besides the walk and giving out Narcan in the dispensers. Our long-term goal would be to start assisting people to actually get into things like rehab and detox. So that would involve, it's pretty expensive, and that's a barrier for a lot of people to get help. And so being able to help people, sponsor them, for example, to go to rehab, that's something that we would like to do long term.
Yeah, that would require lots of
Do you think it'd be like a
donations.
partnership with a rehab center or your own?
Yes, it would involve something like that, probably, yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
You're
Really
welcome, of
appreciate
course.
it.
Yeah,
And
no
it was
problem. Thanks for
awesome
having
interviewing
me.
you.
Of course, of course.
It was really good. So thank you guys so much for watching. And we'll have another podcast in literally a week. Literally at the summit.
Yeah.
Remember, May 10th, Saturday, we're going to be having a live podcast. You might be on it too, right?
Yeah, maybe you'll see me
second
there. Yeah,
appearance.
maybe you'll see me there.
There you go. Maybe we can ask another question or two. That would be awesome. But yes, make sure to keep posted with us on social media, like Instagram, TikTok. It's
BTC
Youth Co.
Yeah.
And yeah, we'll be posting on there occasionally. We have some posts up there already, right?
Yeah. We got quite a few.
Pretty good. Pretty cool videos.
Yeah,
we had
we
like an
made quite a
Oreo facing
few.
video.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool. Thank you guys.